Mr. Speaker, sir, I support this bill because it provides our police with the necessary powers to respond effectively to specific situations, in particular, terror attacks. Terror attacks follow the same gameplay of division, terror, pandemonium. But terror attacks have ranged in form, such as lone wolf attacks, example, knife attacks against a church in Yogyakarta, Indonesia, to coordinated firearm attacks, example, the bombing in Paris in November 2015. Or the tactic of long besiegement, example, in Marawi, the Philippines. Or a quick single attack through commonplace items, example, the vehicle rampage in Berlin's Christmas market. Or highly symbolic, high-impact attacks, for example, the collapse of the Twin Towers. Or insidious attacks against innocent children, such as the bombing at Ariana Grande concert. As terrorist methods change and vary widely, we too in Singapore need to ensure our laws keep abreast to deal with their widening and changing modus operandi. The basis of the expanded powers are acts of serious violence affecting the public, acts causing large-scale public disorder, and terror attacks. These have been carefully defined under Clause 3 and Clause 4. While such expanded powers are completely ill-suited for a neighborhood theft incident, for example, the standard powers are also ill-suited for dealing with such large-scale public order and public safety events. For example, under Clause 19, read with Clause 15(4)(a) of the police are able to rope in civilians to help to cordon off roads. This would be extremely useful, for example, where there is a large area to secure. Backup is not there yet, and time is of the essence in preventing the perpetrator from escaping or other members of the public from entering. Another example is the power to remove parked vehicles under Clause 24 on the basis of endangering others, obstructing traffic flow, and hindering the exercise of special powers. Imagine what would happen if a single vehicle held up the backup police forces, or if a vehicle was lying around as a getaway car, also doubling up as an obstruction to police forces. Another example is the power under Clause 27 to direct premises owners to cooperate by providing information about the premises, closing the premises for a specific time, and ensuring the entrance and exits are secured. Take, for example, a situation where the perpetrator is still at large in the area. Surely, we do not want more people walking into the minefield. And surely, having access to floor plans is going to be extremely helpful for strategizing where and how operations may be carried out. Therefore, this bill provides powers to deal with large-scale public disorder and serious violence incidents, which are largely different from normal day-to-day scenarios. Additionally, this bill is specifically targeted towards ensuring the police can effectively respond to the situation. This can be seen in how the applicability of the expanded powers in this bill are triggered by the police commissioner, that the purpose of the power is meant to enhance police effectiveness is a recurrent theme throughout the bill presented today in Parliament. Therefore, although it is predicated on the minister's issuance of an activation order, which powers are to be exercised and by whom, are decisions for the police commissioner to make. This is done not by the minister, but by the police commissioner separately issuing temporary restraint orders, communication stop orders, and requisition powers, as well as the special authorization under Clause 11. Importantly, the current bill is not without safeguards, as alluded to by the good minister. It is not a rough expansion of powers across the board, carte blanche. Rather, Clause 15 carefully calibrates according to the person exercising the power. For instance, while police are able to enforce curfew orders, servicemen cannot. Furthermore, other countermeasures in the bill, such as curfews, communication stop orders, discontinuation of telecommunications service, requisition powers, do not apply across the board. They require yet another order by the Commissioner or Minister on top of the more general conferring of broader powers. This calibrated approach makes sure that the measures are flexible enough to be effective in different situations, in different scenarios. An activation order or a mere special authorization is not a free pass to all the rest of the countermeasure powers. They require additional orders by the Minister or Commissioner only arising when the situation calls for it and may apply for a shorter time period. We are not treating it as a one-size-fits-all authorization, but we are ensuring that there is enough mechanisms to address serious incidents effectively. Another important restriction that embeds accountability into the exercise of power is the explicit list of acceptable purposes of the use of the power. Take, for example, the communications stop order in Clause 30. In a serious incident like that in illustration D, of a large sit-down demonstration impeding traffic and interfering with normal business activities, it seems a communication stop order is not to be issued to quell publicity. Rather, it appears it can only be issued if it is in the police commissioner's opinion that it would endanger safety of the public, prejudice ongoing law enforcement activity, and other purposes set out in Clause 32, subsection B. So, zeroing into the communication stop order, I support the idea behind it. Too many hostage rescues, counter-terror attacks have been compromised through social media broadcasting, live media broadcasting. Perpetrators at the Taj and Oberoi hotels in Mumbai in 2008 were able to view and monitor actions of security forces through TV coverage. The power to take down drones in the target area should be considered. Bottom line is this: once a theater of threat has been established, we should remove all disadvantages to the police. That will help to quell the threat and neutralize the danger. This restriction on communication protects the people being rescued by increasing the chances of a successful rescue. It also protects the people who are trying to rescue them. After all, they too have families and friends waiting for their safe return. Even as important as it is to control the physical situation, it is also important for the right foundations to be laid for social resilience. If there is a vacuum of information, there may be a lack of confidence that the situation is being managed. Because this may be for some time, perhaps 1 month, according to Clause 10, subsection 2, inaccurate rumors may run amok through lack of accurate information. As the days pass, hope may dwindle. Therefore, would the Minister kindly clarify whether the communication stop order prevents a person from passing on official updates on an ongoing incident, so as to quell anxiety among the families of those affected. Another countermeasure that may be utilized is the power of requisition under Clause 35. One can imagine that in a densely built-up urban area such as Singapore, this power may be especially important for launching an effective surprise attack on the target person. The bill also provides for additional offences that seek to ensure that the situation in the target area does not escalate further. For instance, Clause 37 relating to provoking breach of peace. These offences are predicated on the activation order. Therefore, I would like to seek an elaboration on what, I quote, all reasonable steps, unquote, that must be taken by management or an officer of a company to absolve liability under Clause 45(2)b are. Essentially, what are all reasonable steps? While reasonable steps have been defined under Clause 46, subsection 6, through the standard provision relating to corporate crimes as stated in the explanatory statement, what would it look like for a company to do all reasonable steps to promote a culture, something that is built over time, that does not encourage, tolerate, or lead to non-compliance of the offences when the offences under this bill only arise under the special circumstances of an activation order? What then? I hope the Minister will be able to clarify. From a macro perspective, Mr. Speaker, this bill confers powers necessary to effectively deal with large-scale public order, public safety threats. It comes with an underlying tension, and I accept that. On the one hand, we do not want to face a situation where the police is unable to neutralize the danger and quell the disorder because they lack the necessary powers. And on the other hand, there may be sentiment that the police should not be given disproportionate powers. In my view, the way I deal with this tension is that I do not think the police are being given disproportionate powers here. In my view, this bill equips the police with a level of power necessary to quell danger and neutralize an escalating threat. The foundation of my argument is that we have a good police force and largely enforce their powers professionally. And my core position is this: we do not want the police to be unprepared, left inadequately protected, because the police officers are bereft of what they need to quell a threat. I support this bill, for it is needed to protect Singapore and Singaporeans.